Okay, just testing. Should be going live now. Okay, perfect. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at some of the basic things that you'll be requiring when working with Lyt-Soft point of sale. So the foundation of the entire software is regarding stock. So what we're going to be focusing on today is just creating a stock item and then how to edit a stock item and set properties within a stock item. So the screen that we'll be focusing on today is this tab, stock. So if everybody that's following along, please make sure you're on version 1.183 or later, else you might not find some of the features that we're going to be looking at today. So once we go into stock, we see this screen in front of us. So on this screen you'll see you've got edit stock and add a stock item. So the basic premises is if you want to create a new item, you'll click on add stock. If you want to change an existing product, you'll use the edit stock item. So once we click on add a stock item, it will open up this screen for us. So let's quickly have a look at the entire screen in front of us and what each section means. So the very first section that we need to look at is the code. So the code will be different for each and every one of you depending on the industry that you're in. If you're in the retail industry in terms of supermarkets or selling goods with barcodes, your code will be the barcode on the product. So an easy way to capture this is to utilize a scanner and just take the scanner and scan the actual product. So once that's scanned, it will know that this is the product code. If you are in the butchery industry, you need to, if this item is used on a scale, we're going to have to give it a 4-digit code. So the 4-digit code, let's say we wanted to allocate code 1 to it, it will be 0001. So 0001 to give us that code, or let's say product code 900 would be 0900. And that's how you set it if you're for a butchery. So as you saw, if a code is already been allocated in the system, it will immediately bring up the product for you. So there's never any risk of you overriding an existing product's information. So again, if we're in the retail industry, we scan the actual barcode if the product has a barcode. Otherwise, if we are in the butchery industry, we have to allocate a 4-digit code to the system. Or alternatively, if we're in the restaurant industry, we can allocate any reference to this product that we feel fit. So let's say, for instance, it is a cool drink, so we can say COL-01. That would be, for instance, cool drink 1. So we can allocate a product code that makes sense to us. Just note that for the restaurant industry, this product code is not that important as long as it's unique, as you very seldom use this actual product code. For the butchery, it's important what the product code is, as you'll be calling that on the scale as well. So if it's 0001, you'd press 1 PLU on your scale to bring up this product. And again, in the retail industry, it's extremely important when you scan a product that you have the correct barcode in here, so that it will be able to scan the product. So let's quickly, let's say if it was like that, we just need to make sure that it's scanned and that it's correct, that it's matching the actual barcode. Now we come to the description field. So this description, the description one up here, is the description that you utilize to describe the product to the customer. So in all the customer facing documents, for instance, a invoice or a scale label would be another example. Anywhere where the description is shown, or shelf labels, it will utilize this description. So make sure that this description is filled out correctly. for a customer. So let's say, for instance, this product is Coca-Cola. Then we can say 500 ml if we want to show that on the receipt. So this will be shown on the receipt, and it will also be shown on the shelf label or on an item label if you produce an item label. Description number 2 talks about the description for this item internally. So any description that you want to utilize to describe this product within your company is description 2. So please make sure if there's another description that you need to add for this item, you put it here. This is mostly used by our customers that are not in the retail sector, or customers that are in spares or car parts and so forth. So this is some additional information that they can utilize to either find this product or to have a better understanding of this product. Note that this description 2 doesn't display anywhere on any customer facing documents or any documents regarding this item. It's only shown over here if the person, or in the search fields when this person wants to understand what exactly is in this product. To give you a basic concept of where this would be useful, when we use the software for our own internal use, we use description 2 to give some technical specifications on maybe computer componentry that our technicians will understand, but that's not necessary for the customer to see. So that's where you use description number 2. It's not a mandatory field. It's just an internal field for if you want to know something more about the product. Then we get to bin and shelf. So bin and shelf is actually a concept that's been around quite a while, and it's relating to your bigger retailers with a lot of shelf locations. So let's take ShopRite in Zambia as an example. ShopRite might have let's call it about 20 aisles per store or 30 aisles per store, and in those aisles they'll then have bin locations, meaning which rack it's on. So imagine a guy receiving cornflakes, for instance, at the receiving counter. He might not know where these items should go in the store. So then you'll use the bin and shelf location to find the location and the position of those specific items. So again, if you're a smaller retailer, not something you should be concerned about, but definitely if you've got, let's say, 100 shelves or so, you can use this bin and shelf to explain to the guy that's packing the shelves which item should be going to which shelf location. Now we come on to manufacturer. Manufacturer is a very misunderstood concept within our software. It's often confused that you should put the supplier of the product in this location. That's not correct. This is a descriptive tag that is used to specify who manufactures this product. So we can take as an example, there's a company called AfriTrade in Zambia that distributes Coca-Cola products. So here you would still put Coca-Cola as the manufacturer, but the supplier will be Afri. Your supplier is maybe AfriTrade, but the manufacturer still remains Coca-Cola. Let's say you're running a shoe business and you buy shoes from a specific supplier. You might be buying Nikes and Reebok from them. And that's what you would put on as the manufacturer, even though the supplier is the same person. This manufacturer is the manufacturer of this item. So it will always, for instance, in this scenario, stay Coca-Cola, regardless of who you buy it from. And then we get to the supplier code. So a supplier code is a code that you find on a invoice from a supplier. So oftentimes you'll find that a supplier code is not the barcode of the product. They use different codes to identify the products on the invoices, and this allows you to put in their code for the product into the system, so that when you are GRVing, you can just call their code up for the product to find it. So it makes it easier for you to find this specific product that they are invoicing you for. So that would be a supplier code. Okay, then we get to departments. This is not a mandatory field, but one of the most powerful fields that you do get within the software. So departments, some people call it categories, it's the same thing. So departments helps you to arrange your products in a manner for you to later utilize to gather more information from them. So let's say, for example, we want to see, we want to make this product maybe a drink. Let's see if we have a department here. Or for instance, let's say in a scenario like this, we might want to say that soft drinks and water, and then we can even create a sub-department for it to say soft drinks and then a separate one for water. And what this will do is it will break down your data for your sales and for other reports, but specifically for sales, to show you how much soft drinks and water the main department sold, but also its children department, how much they sold. So how much did soft drinks sell and how much did water sell. So another scenario where you can utilize this is, let's say we have a department that's called meats. Under meats we might have chicken, beef, lamb, pork, cold meats, and under chicken we might have our, let's say, bought pre-packed chicken. We can have chicken that we slaughter ourselves. And thus, when we pull a report on how the meat department did, it will be able to show us how much the slaughtered chicken meat did compared to the pre-packed, maybe purchased meats. So this is something that's individual to each and every company, how they want to do this departments. But this same department categorization is also what is used for all our restaurant customers. So if you're running a restaurant or a takeaway, you need to pay special attention to the categories or the departments, as this will be what you use to place the item within the touch screen menu. So we'll go into that example just now, but in this one we're just going to say soft drinks, and there's no sub department. If we wanted to add a sub department or a new department, we'll click here. Directly after we've finished this screen, we'll go into how to set up categories and departments. But just know this is where you allocate it to a specific product. Okay. Now, one of the things that we get asked the most about is reorder, and this is where you set up your reorder and your ideal level. You need to always think when you're doing reorders and ideal levels that you set it on the main product within any branch. So let's say Coca-Cola 500 ml might not be our main product because we receive it in cases. So there'll be a case item where we'll put our reorder on. We don't want to put it on this item, as this item will always be going down to 0 before it reopens another case, before it reopens another case. So we need to know that our reorder levels is on our main product. So for our butchery or restaurant customers, you can't put, for instance, let's say on a restaurant, you can't say that once my burgers are down to 0, I need to reorder. You need to go onto the cheese and say, once I've only got 2 slices of cheese left, I need to order again. Or once I've got 5 burger buns left, I need to reorder again. So don't put it on the item that you sell, because that might be 0. You need to put on the ingredients or the primary product that is used to produce this item. So again, let's take a steak, for example, a rump steak. We need to make sure that we don't put it on the rump steak that we sell to the customer, but that we put it on the raw rump steak that we buy from the supplier, so that when that reaches a certain level, it will force us to order again. Okay. Let's take a pizza place, for example. We can't put a reorder level on a Hawaiian pizza. We need to put our reorder level on the pineapple, on the cheese, on the wheat flour used to make the dough, on the oil used that we use in our dough. We need to put the reorder on those products, not on the Hawaiian pizza, as we're not going to be reordering. We don't buy Hawaiian pizza, we produce Hawaiian pizza. So make sure you put the reorder on the product that you purchase, not on the product that you're selling. For if you're in a supermarket, just make sure that you put it on the case, not on the single item. Okay, but once we've clearly identified that we have the right product here, we can put our reorder level, and it's pretty basic. We say once we reach 5 units, reorder. Then we'll ask us how many do we want to order. We say we want to order up to 15. So the moment we reach 5, it will then tell us to buy 10. So it's a pretty basic concept. The only thing that we need to remember is that we've identified the right product to be putting it on, and that we're not putting it on the wrong product. Okay. Then we get to the exclusive cost, and inclusive cost, and exclusive cost, and exclusive selling. So again, a pretty basic concept. I'm sure most of you are familiar with, but again, the cost is how much you are buying it at, and the selling price is how much you are retailing it for. So let's say we're buying it for 10 kwacha inclusive of VAT, and we're retailing it for 15 kwacha inclusive of VAT. So here you'll see there's what we call a margin calculator. So if you hover over it, it will give you a description of what that is. But your margin is a percentage that you add on top of cost to be able to calculate the selling price. So a margin of 50% on 10 kwacha will give us 15 kwacha, because 50% of 10 kwacha is 5 kwacha. We add that on top of the cost price, and that gets us to 15 kwacha. But then we also get our GP calculation, which is a very misunderstood concept. So what GP talks about, and you might have to listen to this a few times if you haven't worked with GP before, is it works out what percentage of your sales price is profit. So I'm going to repeat that one more time. The GP works out what percentage of your selling price is profit. So if we take this example that we've got here, our profit out of this is 5 kwacha, because we pay 10 kwacha, we sell it for 15 kwacha, so we make a gross profit of 5 kwacha. Now, if you take 5 kwacha, what percentage is 5 kwacha of 15 kwacha? And that is 33%. Okay, so I'm going to go through it again, as I know it's a thing that people often don't misunderstand. So let's look at it again. We've got an inclusive selling price of 15 kwacha. We've got a cost of 10 kwacha. So if we take this 15 kwacha, we minus 10 kwacha from that, means we make a profit of 5 kwacha. Now we're going to work out that 5 kwacha. What percentage is it of our total sales price? So 5 kwacha into 15 kwacha is a third. So 33% of this is money that we'll take home. So I hope that makes everybody understand a little bit. You can also Google the concept of GP as you go along. But what's nice about GP as opposed to margin is, let's say we run a 33% GP. We then know at the end of the day, if we turn over 100,000, 33% of that is our money that we're going to take home. So that's what makes GP a powerful metric. And as you'll notice throughout the software, our preferred metric. But we do have margin there to help the people that are used to margin and to see how to calculate their sales prices. So once we're done with our item, we can just press OK. So then we open it up here. So once we see this, it will show us our quantity in stock is now 0. It shows us we haven't sold any this month because we've just created this item. We don't have any of them on order at the moment, so any purchase order that you've got will show up here, and the expected delivery date will also show up on the screen. Now I want to take us through some of the properties, and again something that we've got quite a lot of questions over, so it's something that we want to spend a lot of time on today, just to make sure that the concept of the properties are better understood. So when we look at our item, at the bottom here is where we get our properties panel. So as we can see, we've got this first tab which is called fast line. So in the fast line, we've got a fast line button. So put item on a fast line button. This is depending on the screen that you're using, whether you're using a touch screen or a retail system. The button that you'll utilize to make this item appear either on the side panel of the software, or if you're using it in restaurant or touchscreen mode, on the home page of the sales software. So that's how you put an item there, is you tick this. That will put it for you either if you're using retail on the left hand side of the screen, or if you're using a touchscreen system, it will then show these items to you the moment the screen opens. It will be the first page in front of you. Okay. Put items on a fast bar. So this is something that is only really applicable to to bars and to restaurants. So a fast bar item goes along with what we call a fast bar PC. And what this means is, let's imagine a scenario where for this weekend only, we're going to have a beer garden and we're going to have one computer out in the beer garden. So that computer will be set to be a fast bar, and we want the person there not to be able to access the entire menu. He must only be able to access a subsection of the menu because he only has those specific items with him. If the people want other items, they need to order from the normal bar. So it's just a small subset of items that he sells there. So by ticking this, it will then put this item onto that small bar's item list. So maybe he's only selling beers there, or he's only selling beers and cool drink. Then we'll tick this on the beer or on the cool drink that we want him to be able to see. Sorry, just thought I needed a drink of coffee there. Now, that's all we got on this fast line. So just to quick recap, the fast line button, very commonly used. So any item that sells a lot that you want to prioritize by bringing it to the front of your sales screens, you'll put the item on fast line. For any, if you ever have a function, restaurants and bars specifically, where you want a separate bar with only specific items on it, this is what you utilize. Okay, now we go to linking. The first one, create recipes. So this is one of the most highly requested features, but I would also say probably one of the least effectively used all throughout our software, as it requires you to work out exactly what you want to do before engaging with it. So let's first define when an item requires a recipe. So any item that you do not buy in the same way as what you sell it requires a recipe. Any item that you are doing some form of manufacturing or manipulating of the original product to this product that you are selling will require a recipe. Obviously, we all know that food items fall under this category quite a lot, so every item on a restaurant menu should have a recipe. We all know that bakeries utilize recipes a lot, so I think the concept there is quite understood. But we also need to look at butcheries. Butcheries also use recipes as to link meat items to their parent item. So as we know, in a butchery, you might be buying for beef specifically, you might only buy hindquarter and forequarter. And now when you look at the hindquarter, you produce 25 types of items from that hindquarter, or let's say 30 types or even more. So you produce cuts, so you produce rump, you produce sirloin, you produce let's say brisket and so forth, the actual physical cuts. Then you also might use it in products such as borscht. You might also use it in making mince and patties. Okay. And thus this is where the recipe comes in, to tell all these sub products where to go and get their information from. So we're going to quickly create a hamburger. So when we're creating a hamburger, we need to make sure that we have our, sorry, it's just for the customers with scales, we'll see that. When we're creating a hamburger, we need to make sure that we first have all the raw ingredients that goes into a hamburger. Okay, so let's say product code number, this one 001. Okay, we're gonna say buns. Okay, you'll put it into your ingredients category, so we can even create a category for this before we even continue here. So let's go into our stock category. We can create a main category called, and we say hide this category as it mustn't form part of our sales categories. We click add, we click close. Okay, so now we've created that department. We can create the product 001 buns. Okay, so once we have buns, we can then add it to our ingredients department. Okay, we want to order buns the moment they go below 10, and we always want to make sure we have 60 of them in stock. Okay, a bun, I presume it's about 1 kwacha 50 ngwe for a bun, and we don't have to put in a sales price as this item will never sell, so we can just leave that 0. Okay, we'll never directly sell this product, we always sell it within another product, as in within our hamburger. Okay, so now product number 2 is patty. So again, we put it in our ingredients, and also you can create sub departments for your ingredients, which we'll go through a bit later. And we can say our patties, the moment they go below 15, we want to order again. Our ideal level is we want 100 in stock. Okay, we pay, let's say about 7 kwacha 50 ngwe for one, and again we don't have to worry about a sales price for that. Then let's say it's a very basic burger, it just contains 3 things, it just also then contains cheese, and then we can say per slice. So if you're receiving your cheeses in slices, then you'll control the stock in units. If you're receiving it in kgs, then you need to be linking your recipe in grams. So we're going to do it per slice to make it units. We'll go in our next example into how to do grams and kgs. So also put it in the ingredients tab, and then what is our cost for a slice of cheese? It's about 5 as well, if I'm not mistaken. Our reorder level, we can make it, we say if we reach 12 slices of cheese, we need to order 24. Okay, and we can just hit save. So let's say that is the sum of our parts of our hamburger. We can then click edit other item. Have we created a hamburger yet? No. So we can create a new item. Hamburger, let's say with cheese. We're gonna put it in the burgers department, and again we can't put a reorder level on this specific hamburger because we might have several different hamburgers that all consume the parts that actually need to be reordered. So remember, when we spoke about reorder, we don't put the reorder level on this product if it contains a recipe. We put it on the primary product. Okay, and we say we're going to be selling our hamburger for 150 kwacha. Okay, we hit save, and we say edit the current item. So once it's saved, it will then bring up our menu for us at the bottom. And this is where we then click linking. We say we want to create a recipe. Okay, what quantity does this recipe make? It's going to make 1 hamburger. So where will this quantity ever be different? So let's say we've got a recipe to create a cheese sauce, and we don't create only 1 portion. We create it once a night and then we use it all throughout the night. So we might create 50 portions. Then we would say this creates 50 portions. Or let's say that we a pizza place, again, we might create pizza dough. So when we do the recipe for pizza dough, we're not going to only mix flour for 1 single pizza. We're going to be mixing for entire batch, and a batch might consist of 30 bases. So that's what this is asking you. So if that was the case, we'll say this recipe is going to make 30 bases. But because we're doing a recipe only for a single hamburger, we can say 1. This recipe only makes 1 single hamburger. Okay, we click done. Now we need to tell it which products will it need to go and look at to make this hamburger. So our first step will be to use this search bar. Okay, we're going to then say, for instance, cheese. So cheese slice, let's say we're going to put lots of cheese on there. We put 2 slices. Okay, we click save and next. So we can see there the link quantity is 2 slices, and that's going to cost us 10 kwacha. Then we want to also add a patty. So our patty, how many patties? Let's again be generous and say we're going to put 2 patties on there. So that's going to make our cost then for 2 patties. And then we need to select our buns. We can select our buns there. And again, how many buns do we want? And on this one, it will only be 1, as I can't foresee a burger that uses more than 1 bun. So we click save and next. So as you can see here, it works out the cost of each one of the links, and right here at the bottom it will show you the total cost per unit. And if this was maybe a batch of 30, then it will show you the cost of the batch separately. So how much it will produce, how much it costs to produce the 1 unit, and how much it costs to produce all this in the batch. But because this is 1, it will be the same total. So we click completed, and that's fine. And that's the basic concept of creating a recipe. But again, that's a very simplistic recipe, as it is all with units. Now, most likely what you're going to be dealing with is weight. So again, we're going to use a example. Okay, let's use an example of a sausage. Okay, so when we're manufacturing a sausage, let's quickly have a look here. We create a new sausage, so add a stock item. We're going to call it maybe boerewors. Okay. And we're going to put that in, say, the beef department. It's fine. I'm going to, again, we're not going to reorder boerewors unless we're specifically buying boerewors. But if we're manufacturing it, we don't put the reorder level on the boerewors. We put it on the ingredients within it. Okay, we can leave the cost price blank for now because the cost will be calculated by its recipe. We don't need to put a cost price on this item, as its recipe will determine what is its cost price. Okay, but we can say what we're going to be selling it for on a kg. So let's say, what's it, about 99.95 now per kg that we're going to be selling this product at. Again, once we save it and we say edit current, it will then allow us to have this properties bar at the bottom. Okay, now we're going to create a recipe, and we're going to say our boerewors batch, when we make it, makes 35 kgs. That's our boerewors batch, makes 35 kgs. So when we search then for the product, we select, let's say we use beef. See what beef we can use here. Okay, we use some beef fat. We say we use, in this entire batch, we use 2.5 kgs of fat of our 35 kgs. We're gonna say, let's see, hind quarter. Okay, let's say the let me just find the right. So let's say we're going to use steak mince in there. Okay, we're going to use about 25 kgs of steak mince. Okay, we're going to use some pork. Okay, let's say we're going to use some pork. We're going to use, say, another 4 kgs of pork in there. Okay, then we need to also, so what does that give us? 29, 31.5. Okay, so then we're also maybe going to use some intestine, beef intestine, so as the outer tubing for it. So let's say we use about 2 kgs of that, so we put a 2 there. Okay, then we want some spice, so let's say for show original spice we're going to put 450 grams. So you see 0.450 will indicate 450 grams of this will be used in there. So I don't know if all of this calculates up to 30 kgs, but or 35 kgs I mean, but you can work it out yourself. And then as you can see here at the bottom, it will show you how much it costs to produce a unit and how much it costs to produce a entire batch of boerewors, according to my definitely wrong recipe, but to just give you a concept of how to link up the items. Okay, so we click completed and we click save, and again once we're on this product you'll see it is now got a cost price based on the recipe that we've implemented on it. Okay, so that's how you do a recipe. I also want to show another recipe specifically for an item that we encounter quite a bit in the butchery industry, which is Bolton, but any item that has weight loss on that specific product. So let's say we've got, let's create PLU number 6. Just know if it's on a scale it must have 4 digits. I'm just using this as an example. So we can then say Bolton, okay, per kg. Okay, we put it in the beef department again, and we say the price is 350 kwacha kg. Now we save, edit current again, it will bring this bottom section to us. We go into linking, we create the recipe, we say it will make 1 kg the recipe that we're about to make. Okay, now we go and select our beef, I think it's silver side if I'm not mistaken, that you used to create Bolton with. And even though we're making 1 kg, we actually require about 1.8 kg of silver side meat for every 1 kg of Bolton we have, as it dries and it loses its weight. So this is saying we're going to use 1 kilogram and 800 grams of silver side for every 1 kg of Bolton that we sell. So when we click and save that, you'll see it will then increase the cost here of the Bolton. So 1.8, even though we're only producing 1 kg, we actually use 1.8 kg of raw product to produce the 1 kg of Bolton. So you'll probably still also have some spices that you add to this. So let's say this time, this one, you're going to say we use about 0.6. Oh, okay, that's too much for 0.0. So it's about 10 grams per kg. Okay. So again, that's how you're going to put that in there. And then you just click complete it and you click save. And now the system will know every time you sell Bolton that it must go and deduct it from silver side if it doesn't have Bolton in stock. Okay. The next item that we're going to be covering is the case links. So case links are mainly to do with beers and cool drinks. So all the people that's dealing with liquor or that's dealing with cool drinks in the retail industry, not necessarily in bars, needs to look at the following section. So first things, when we want to do a case link, we need to make sure we actually have a case item before we can link a single to a case. We need to make sure we have a case item. So let's say Coca-Cola 500 ml times 24. So I'm not sure if 500 ml comes in 24s or 12s, but this is just an example. Again, this is just the invoice description, so it will show this to the customer. So if you want to say maybe 24 times 500 ml, you're welcome. Just understand that this is not necessarily doesn't set the quantity yet, it's just a description. Now, let's say we add it to our drinks department, which I seem to always be struggling to find on this particular one. Let's just call it into test. So you'll put it to its right department. You say when our cases reaches 3 cases, we need to order again. How many do we need to order? We need to order 10. What is our case price? Let's say 240. So we work that out to roughly 10 kwacha per unit. And then what is our sales price on a case? We might say 350. Okay. If my pricing is completely out, don't shout at me. Just understand the concept. So again, we create our case item. So this is the item that will contain 24 of the loose item. We put our reorder on this item as it is the largest, or the form that we buy it from the supplier. This is the way we get it from the supplier. So we put our reorder on that product. We do not put it on the product subsequent to that. Okay, we want to reorder when we've got 3, and we want our ideal quantity to be 10. Again, our cost is 240, and then our selling is this. So now what we need to do is we go to linking and we say this is a case. So once you do that, it will ask you how many items are in this case. So now here we can specify how many of the smallest units that you're going to be selling are there in this case. So meaning we're going to be selling 24 500 ml, so we'll be allowed to sell 1. So there's 24 of the smallest quantity within this case. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. Because we're selling them 1, we can say this case contains 24 of the smallest units, which will be the single units in this example. So normally you can just type in the case size 24 or 12, depending on what product you're buying. You click save. Okay, now we go and save it again. Okay, now the system knows this is a case item. Now we need to go to the single item. So let's type in Coca-Cola 500 ml. Okay, we click link. We say this item is bought in a larger case, meaning we don't buy this item, we buy its case. So again, we wouldn't want reorder levels on this specific product. We can make this 0, 0, as we don't want reorder levels on this product, as we've got reorder levels on the case. We tick here, this is bought in a larger case. Then it will show you all your case items that you've got here. So we say this is the one we want to link it to. And then how many units of this item that we're currently on are we going to deduct from the case? So we're on a single item, so we're going to deduct 1. So I'm going to just repeat that. This question here is this product that we're currently on. How many units of this quantity will it deduct when you sell it? So it is 1. So we click save. It will tell us it's linked successfully. It will then also be getting its cost information from the case. So as you can see now, our cost on our single has gone to 10 kwacha for this specific product. So again, it gets its cost information from there. So the moment you buy your things at a higher cost price, on the case it will automatically affect the cost of the subsequent items. So now we can just, in our example, go one step further. Let's say we create a new item. Six by 500 ml. We're again just going to put it under taste, but you'll put it under the appropriate department here. Again, we don't have to worry about reorder because it's going to be linked to a case. We don't have to worry about cost prices as it will be linked to a case. And we can say a 6-pack we're going to be selling at, let's say, 86 kwacha. Once we save it, we say we want to continue working on this item. We go into linking and we say this item is bought in larger cases. So we tick there. Then we select its parent item. And then we say this has 6 of the 24. Yeah, so when I sell one of this, it must deduct 6 of the 24. So I hope that gives a bit of clarity as to what this question is. So we can save it. So now it will also know that it must get its costing from the case, as you can see from there. Okay, so once we click save, and then we click edit. Okay, so I think we still have time for one more example here, which we're going to go on to the scale, as these two at the bottom might be better to be left for the next session, as they are a bit more complicated and a bit more industry specifics, not really that important for everybody to know. So we'll release specific videos for bars and for butcheries specifically to understand, or abattoirs to understand these two specific items. So we can go on to scale. So scales will be used by bakeries, it will be used by butcheries, it can be used by supermarkets as well. So that will be your three primary. When we talk about this scale, we're talking about, we support 3 different types of scales. We support the Terioka, so the SM100, SM300, SM500 and up to the newer ranges. And then we support the Ishida scale, so the Uni 3, Uni 7 Ishida scales, and then again the newer ones. And then we also support the scales that we specifically supply to customers. So we've got more functions on the ones we supply than what you would get, for instance, with the Terioka and the Ishida. So if you want more info on that, you can just give us a call and we can provide you with product specific information. But those are the scales we're talking about. So we're talking about scales here that produces a barcode and a label that then gets stuck onto a product. So if it's another scale, we're most likely not going to link to it, and even if we do, you're not going to be utilizing this scale function for that. So remember, when you see this scale, we're talking about barcode scales that are connected with a network cable to our system that we can communicate with. So let's just quickly make sure we go to an appropriate product. So you see again, when it's a scale item, you need to make sure it's got a 4-digit code. Has to have a 4-digit code. If it doesn't have a 4-digit code, it will not allow you to even set it to a scale item, and it definitely won't send or scan to your scale. So again, if you want it to be code 99, it must be 0099. Okay, so then you click on the scale tab here to inform the software that this item needs to be sent down to that scale. You have to make sure the scale button is ticked. Okay, then the next one is somewhat confusing to certain customers, so we'll quickly have a discussion about that. So weight makes price. So you might find, especially in bakeries and certain butchery items, but mostly in bakeries and so forth, that they still want the scale to produce a label for an item even though they don't weigh the item. So what the scale will then do is just produce a label with a price on it. It won't request the weight of the product. So if that is the case, we would untick that. So then the system knows this is not per kg, it is just the price is just that. So it will always print a label of, let's say, 15, end of story, regardless of the weight of the item. Now the moment we tick here, it then makes this a per kg price. So this won't be the price of the item, this will be the kg price of this specific item. So let's say it's 150, that's 150 per kg. Okay, so the moment we tick this, this is a per kg price and this is a per kg cost price. Okay, then we can set our best before. So this is not a function supported on every single scale, but on the ones we mentioned before, that should be supported. So here you can say the amount of days from when the label is produced you want it to show the best before. So let's say if it's a frozen good item, you might find it's 6 months, so you put 180 days. So the scale will automatically work out 180 days from the day that the label was produced and put that as the best before date on that product. And then we also get what we call hotkeys. So this is only on our scales. So if you want more info on that, you can let us know, but this will allow you to allocate this product to the pin pad on the scale. So you'll see there's a number on the pin pad, and you can then say like allocate this to fast key 15, and it will immediately press that button, it will bring up the product. So that is what this section is for. So again, save. It will then, as you see, try and send it down to the scale, but obviously there's no scales connected here, but it will try and send it to all the scales immediately and update the prices based on that. Okay, I think that is pretty much all we've got time for today. Tomorrow we're going to be looking a bit more in depth again at these particular items. How the items are sold in tot, and is the item a live animal, which again specifically for abattoirs this is quite important, or for butchers that buy live animals. And then we'll go through the kitchen, some of the special things, taxes. Everybody wants to understand taxes. There will also be a separate video for the accountants, but this is where you tell a product whether it has VAT or whether it doesn't have VAT, and what type of VAT it has. Zambia has several different types of VAT that we need to take into consideration, labels, and then extra prices. So we'll be going through all of these things tomorrow again. So we'll release on our media, our social media, and throughout different platforms the times for when we want to be doing this tomorrow, most likely again in the afternoon to late afternoon. And thanks so much everybody for watching, and hopefully we've covered a few of the basic concepts, and please send us an email or WhatsApp if there's any specific questions or anything you want us to clarify again on this video. Thanks.